the 5 Live Sports Extra right now. It's time to head to Vicarage Road. Watford against Southampton in the Premier League. And it's good afternoon to Mark Scott.
Good afternoon, Russell. Thanks very much to you and the rest of the team for all of the tennis coverage during that tournament. And hopefully we will have similar levels of excitement here this afternoon in the Premier League. The only Premier League fixture taking place on Sunday, and it is a big game for Watford down at the wrong end of the top flight table. They have stuttered a bit after a good start to life under Nigel Pearson. They face a Southampton team who don't really have too much to play for, but could be very dangerous opponents given that they have picked up the vast majority of their points away from home. Delighted to have the former Ireland international Andy Reid alongside me for this one. And Andy, first of all, we saw in the team news something that really caught the eye with a trio of players left out for Watford due to safety grounds. We don't know the exact implications of what they got up to, but it must be disappointing when you see the likes of Keena, Gray and Shalabar omitted for non-footballing reasons at least.
Yeah, really disappointing. I'm sure Nigel Pearson's not too pleased. Well, we know he's not because he's left him out of the squad, and rightly so. You've got to be safe. You can't take any chances. But, you know, the guys have let the teammates down here. You know, they're not available for selection. This is a vitally important game for Watford today. They really need the result, and for the 3 players to be missing, it's a big blow to them. So they'll have to make sure that they put it to one side. It's done and dusted now. The players who are out there who are able to perform need to go out and put on a big performance.
So just to let you know the team news then, 3 changes for Watford from their 1-0 defeat away at Burnley. Cathcart, Doucouré and Pereira are the trio to come in. Kabasele, Cleverley and Welbeck, the 3 who miss out. 5 changes for Southampton from their 2-0 loss against Arsenal. Vestergaard, Long, Romeo, Smallbone and Kyle Walker-Peters are the 5 to come in. Højbjerg, we don't know if he's injured or just dropped after his comments about wanting to find a different club. Jack Stevens is out through suspension, and Valerie Armstrong and Obafemi are dropped to the bench. Michael Oliver is in the centre circle of what is a blustery afternoon here in Hertfordshire. The weather hasn't quite known what to do with itself. It's been bright sunshine followed by drizzles, and now it is just a very grey scene over this empty Vicarage Road Stadium, which is adorned with plenty of flags and banners to try and make up for the lack of supporters inside the stadium. Graham Taylor's face on one of those banners beaming across to us from the other side of the pitch on the halfway line. Southampton are in their change strip of all white. Watford in their traditional golden shirts. They line up like this. Ben Foster in goal. Their back 4 from left to right is Messina, Dawson, Cathcart and Feminea. The midfield 3 we reckon are Hughes, Capoue and Doucouré, with Sarr and Pereira either side of Deeney up front. It looks like 4-4-2 from Southampton once again, despite the change in personnel. Alex McCarthy is their goalkeeper. Bertrand, Bednarek, Vestergaard and Kyle Walker-Peters are the back 4. Smallbone, Ward-Prowse, Romeo and Redmond across the midfield, and Danny Ings is partnered by Shane Long up front, who of course famously scored here after just 7.69 seconds in the 1-1 draw last season, the fastest ever Premier League goal. It's going to be Watford who will kick us off, so the chances of that happening again probably a little bit slim.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to fall for that one again, but it's going to be very interesting to see how Ings and Long get on against Cathcart and Dawson. Teams and centre-backs in particular, they're not particularly used to playing against 2 up front anymore because not too many teams play it. So, they'll have an advantage in that area, where the disadvantage to a 4-4-2 is you can get outnumbered in the middle of the park. So Hughes and Capoue and Doucouré need to try and make that numerical advantage count.
Well, certainly formation was switched during the game at Burnley on Thursday for Watford. Nigel Pearson wasn't happy with what he saw in that first half at Turf Moor, and said he could have made quite a few changes before the half-time switches that he did employ, as the rain just starts to drizzle down once again here at Vicarage Road. The floodlights are on. It's what you would say is a perfect day for football in some respects, but certainly not the type of day that we've been having recently, with the season being extended into the summer months.
Yeah, it is perfect, and with that bit of rain just falling now, it'll make the pitch perfect for passing the football. I mean, I'm looking at the pitch, it's in pristine condition. It really looks beautiful, as you would expect, with the break having been. But I think it's very, very important that Watford get their passing game going as quickly as possible, and the pitch is certainly perfect for that.
And once again, all of the players and the officials and coaching staff take the knee in solidarity with the Black Lives Matter movement. And now we are underway with Watford kicking from left to right in the first half, and you will hear the generic match effects just underneath us. They are not reactive to what's going on, but just add a little bit more atmosphere in what is very eerie surroundings here at Vicarage Road. And it's an early throw for Southampton on the left-hand side, which will be taken by Ryan Bertrand. Goes all the way back to Yannick Vestergaard, one of those players to come into the team today. And he's pinged a long crossfield ball over to the right-hand side, and Will Smallbone, who has come into the team today, is operating on that right-hand side, probably playing a similar role to Stuart Armstrong, who tends to try and drift in from the flank, which is what we expected. And some were surprised that Stuart Armstrong, who has 4 goals in his last 8 Premier League games, had been dropped for the match today. But Will Smallbone is certainly a player that Ralph Hasenhüttl likes the look of.
He's a good player. He's a player that I've seen playing for the Republic of Ireland underage teams, and he's done really well. He's definitely got ability. It's great to see Hasenhüttl showing that faith in him. You do have to rotate. There's a lot of games kind of coming up in the next period. It's all being congested, so you have to rotate. You have to keep players fresh, and it's great that he's given some of the younger players an opportunity.
It's the voice of Andy Reid, the former Ireland international, here on BBC Radio 5 Live Sports Extra. Full commentary of Leicester against Chelsea in the FA Cup quarter-final is on 5 Live at the moment, and then Newcastle against Manchester City follows that, and that is also live for you on BBC One as well. So 2 minutes on the clock at Vicarage Road. Watford have won just one of their past 13 games against Southampton in all competitions. The last meeting at St Mary's in November finished 2-1 to the Saints. Sarr put Watford ahead in that one before goals from Danny Ings and James Ward-Prowse late on. Actually gave Southampton their first home win of the season, and it was their first since they were thrashed 9-0 by Leicester, and it led to Quique Sanchez-Flores being dismissed by Watford the very next day. Seems like such an awfully long time ago now, both that 9-0 defeat for Southampton and Quique Sanchez-Flores being at the helm for a second time here at Watford, as the rain really starts to cascade down now. It has threatened to see the heavens open for much of the afternoon, and now that is exactly what is happening on a grey, overcast afternoon here in Hertfordshire. Ryan Bertrand has it for Southampton. Bit of a flat start to the game with just under 3 minutes on the clock, and both sides really just feeling each other out with the score still goalless, and that has been a common sight throughout the game since the resumption of the season, is that they have by and large taken a while to get going.
Yeah, and listen, that's, I would say, mostly down to the fact that there's no fans in the place, and when the fans are in there, they really kind of egg you on. They want to get you going forward. They want to see you pressing the ball high up the pitch. They want to see you getting forward and committing men forward. And when they're not here, there's just a tendency for it to be a little bit like a pre-season game. The intensity drops, people stand off people, and they let them have more time on the ball. So maybe a goal can change that, or even a corner or a good attempt on goal can just kind of spark the game into life.
And the game really did spark into life in the last meeting here back in April 2019. Shane Long scoring after 7.69 seconds, the new record for a fastest goal in Premier League history. And there was late drama as well, with Andre Gray levelling things up in the 90th minute, but no such fireworks early on in the latest encounter between the sides. 4 minutes gone, still 0-0, and now Danny Ings tries to burst forwards from midfield. Offloads to Shane Long, left-hand side, just outside the Watford penalty area. His crossfield pass goes astray. Pereira can intercept and knocks it up towards Troy Deeney. Good strength from Deeney to spin his man, but then lost his way, and Southampton have it back in the right back position with Carl Walker-Peters. Long lofted pass for Danny Ings to chase, took it in his stride nicely, but in trying to find Long by the penalty spot didn't get enough juice on his ball in, and Watford were able to clear their lines, but signs that Southampton are perhaps just starting to wake up.
Yeah, and I think what they're looking to do, and we've seen it from Ings and we've seen it for Long, we know Long likes to stretch the game, he likes to keep defenders honest, and he makes some really, really good runs in behind. Now if you can pick him out, great, but if the centre-backs go with him, then that creates pockets for maybe Ings to come into, or Redmond to come into, or Smallbone to come into. So it's very, very important for from a Southampton perspective that they keep trying to look for them balls for Ings and for Long.
Alex McCarthy firing one right into the feet of Danny Ings inside the centre circle. It just rebounded off him. McCarthy, of course, who had that horrible moment against Arsenal on Thursday when he gave the ball straight to Eddie Nketiah for Arsenal's opening goal. 2 mistakes cost Southampton in that game, with poor pass forcing Jack Stevens into a foul that saw him dismissed, and Arsenal winning that game by 2-0. And Nigel Pearson, the Watford manager, was left to rue some individual errors in their defeat against Burnley as well, both sides losing without managing to score a goal. Watford have now picked up 6 points from their last 9 matches, having got off to that blistering start under Nigel Pearson, with 13 points from their first 6 matches under him, and perhaps just running out of steam a little, although of course the interruption to the season may well have played a big part.
Yeah, but listen, he's done a fantastic job since he's come in. He really has. They were done and dusted for me. Before he came in, I couldn't see a way out for them, and he's given them that organisation. He's really stabilised things. He's a really calm figure, so he didn't panic, and they've given themselves a great chance of staying up. So, a fantastic job, and they need to be organised. Southampton will probably have a little bit more of the ball. So if they do, they need to make sure that they shore it up and see if they can hit them on the counter, because they've got good pace on the counter with Pereira and Sarr. I'm interested to see how Sarr gets on.
Launched forwards by Ben Foster, but no change for Troy Deeney out of Bednarek at the back there. Ward-Prowse has it in a congested area in the right back position for Southampton, and the whistle goes from Michael Oliver, our referee this afternoon, as the sky starts to clear overhead, but the rain continues to come down. Notice to our left-hand side, behind the goal occupied by Ben Foster, they have a large screen here, Watford, which is constantly playing footage of supporters clapping and cheering to just try and inject a bit of home advantage into proceedings, because as we've seen, home advantage doesn't really play a part these days given the absence of the supporters, and the results have sort of borne that out as well. Southampton, though, would have fancied their chances regardless of whether it was a full house at Vicarage Road or not, given their very impressive away record. They need 1 win to set a new club record of 8 away successes in a single Premier League campaign. They've picked up 62% of their league points on their travels. In Europe's top 5 leagues, only Brescia and Werder Bremen have won a higher proportion of their points in away matches this season. It is one of those strange quirks that I guess it's always difficult to really put your finger on why.
Yeah, sometimes certain teams are just they're just put together and they're assembled, and it just suits them playing away from home. So they might be wanting teams to come onto them, and when you play away from home, teams come onto you a little bit more. When you go away, you always tend to start off the game tentatively, so that might suit Southampton. That's the type of team that they are, and I think tactically Hasenhüttl is he's been really, really good. I've liked some of the things that he's tried to do. He's tried to be inventive, tried to put his stamp on it, and he's done it well.
Shane Long chasing a clipped ball over the top from Romeo. It's dealt with the minimum of fuss by Craig Cathcart, and Watford have it with Will Hughes. He's lost out though to Bertrand, all a bit scrappy. Then an early pass from Capoue into Deeney on the halfway line. He tries to release Ismaila Sarr on the right flank, and Sarr will settle for the throw out of Yannick Vestergaard. Yet to have a chance to really stretch his legs this afternoon, Ismaila Sarr, the Senegalese, who scored his first ever Premier League goal in the 2-1 defeat at Southampton in November. Femenia will take the throw for Watford. 0-0 with 9 minutes played, and no chances of any note so far. Femenia still waiting for an option from a teammate. Eventually Pereira comes short for him, but it's sloppy from the Argentine. Picked up by Redmond and cleared up to the halfway line, but Shane Long can't keep that in, and it's a throw that Cathcart will take. Finds another Craig in the shape of Dawson, who sends it wide to Messina. Early ball through the centre, looking for Pereira, whose run almost saw him get on to the pass, but it just skids behind for a goal kick to Southampton.
It was good to see the runs forward, though. You know, there was when Messina did get on the ball, you see people wanting to make them runs forward. Decore was wanting to make a run forward. Pereira was wanting to make a run forward. So it's good positive play. You know, it didn't quite come off that time, but you need to stretch the pitch. You know, we mentioned Ings and Long, how they want to stretch the pitch. Will Watford have to do that as well? You know, Deeney's a target man. He likes to get hold of the ball, so for him to be really effective, he needs to have runners past him.
It's the voice of Andy Reid here on BBC 5 Live Sports Extra, where it is Watford 0, Southampton 0 at Vicarage Road. Live commentary of Chelsea against Leicester in the FA Cup quarter-final is on 5 Live at the moment, and Manchester City against Newcastle to come as well, both on 5 Live and on BBC One. We'll have the draw for you as well for the semi-finals of the FA Cup at half-time in that Newcastle-Manchester City game. Here, Will Hughes has it just inside his own half, but misplaced pass from him, and that has been a common theme early on. Both sets of players a bit sloppy in possession. Capoue is then caught over on the far side, so it's a free kick to Watford deep inside their own half on the left-hand side.
It's just scrappy, isn't it? It just hasn't quite, the quality isn't quite there yet, and you know, the pitch, as we mentioned earlier, the pitch is absolutely fantastic. You just want these teams to get the ball down, some good movement, good rotation in midfield, be nice and calm on the ball, but at the moment they just seem to be giving it away, and there's a couple of fouls, and the game is just stop-start and just hasn't quite kicked into life yet.
Ben Foster launches this free kick long towards the D of the Southampton box. Up goes Vestergaard. It is land of the giants at the back for Southampton, with Bednarek and Vestergaard the two centre halves for them. Someone who doesn't have as much height is Shane Long, but he still gets up really well in the air, and he won the header in the centre circle. Watford have it back though, and it's floated forwards by Cathcart. That's a decent pass. Pereira has it now on the right hand side, slips it through for Ismail Assar. Deeney's in the centre, Decore as well. It's behind both of them, and the clearest opening so far created by Watford, and Ismail Assar will be disappointed he couldn't find one of his two teammates that were in a promising position.
It was a really nice move, a great force touch by Pereira. He brought the ball down out of the sky beautifully, and he slipped Sarr in just in between the centre back and the full back. A lovely ball, and Sarr, he got his head up, but he just didn't quite pick out Decore. He played it behind him, and he'd be a little bit disappointed with that. That was a fantastic opportunity, it really was.
Carl Walker-Peters with a quick free kick floated into the Watford area. Danny Ings was off after it. Craig Dawson did just about enough, and the ball rebounds into the gloves of Ben Foster, who can come out to make the gather. Ralph Hasenhüttl and Nigel Pearson both out on the edge of their technical area, with the weather improving somewhat and the rain having eased a lot after a bit of a downpour at the start of the game. Vestergaard's underneath this header for Southampton on the edge of his own area. Bednarek then scoops it up towards Long, who's out-jumped by Dawson for Watford. Capoue's pass goes astray though, and Danny Ings has picked it up on halfway, wriggles away from a couple of challenges, and now finds Long, who tried to play in Nathan Redmond, who was bursting into the penalty area, but again, as we've mentioned plenty of times already, the pass was poor and didn't find its intended target. Decore tries to set Capoue away on the right flank for Watford, but again the pass is under hit and Watford have to settle for a throw.
You just seen the two centre forwards of Southampton working together there. Ings come off, he got hold of the ball, cut inside, then just slipped it into Long. He was a little bit unlucky. It was the right idea to try and slip Redmond in, but that's the joy that you can get with two centre forwards. If you can get them working together, if you can get them playing off each other, it can be difficult to mark.
14 minutes played, Watford 0, Southampton 0, but perhaps just some tentative signs that the game is starting to get going. Here is Dawson in the centre circle for Watford. Plenty of time to pick a pass. Goes for a diagonal towards Feminir, the right back bombing forwards, but it's cut out by Bertrand, and Ward-Prowse has it. Does well in a tight position to wriggle away from Decore. Finds Romeu, sends it out wide to the right, and Carl Walker-Peters, who brings it over halfway. Still carrying the ball, Walker-Peters. Good burst this. Needs some support now as he's closed down by Pereira. And Southampton still have it with Romeu. They've played that nicely. Ward-Prowse eventually forced to go backwards of square, so Watford have negated that Southampton move for now. and they have everyone back behind the ball now, Watford, with Ward-Prowse just over the halfway line, and Ralph Hasenhüttl lets out a shriek of frustration. I think that they were in a positive position just outside the Watford area and are now back on the halfway line.
The Watford players got back in really quickly. The recovery runs were excellent there, I have to say, and when you get everybody behind the ball, if you're an attacking player and you're looking forward, it's very, very difficult to see a pass. Very well organised, as you would expect from a Nigel Pearson team.
Bertrand has it on the left side for Southampton. They're inside the Watford half now with Ward-Prowse. Short stab pass to Romeo, fired into the edge of the area, and Danny Ings lifts it into Long, who goes for goal and shoots straight at Ben Foster. Plenty of power on the effort from about 10 yards out, but it was just too close to the keeper.
Yeah, he'd be disappointed in that. You know, he should have shot across the keeper. I know it was difficult, I know it was on his left foot, but if you shoot across the keeper, you never know, you may can come in and get the rebound. So, but more signs that the game is coming to life. It started to open up a little bit. You need to move the ball quickly out there, because there's plenty of bodies in the midfield area. If you don't move the ball quickly, then it's very, very difficult to break the opposition down.
Shane Long going for goal, and he scored 3 goals in his last 9 games for Southampton, who again find themselves in a promising position after Danny Ings swivelled in Watford territory, but his pass had too much on it for Nathan Redmond. Feminier's back there for Watford, but his hoof upfield is straight to Romeo. Romeo goes back inside Southampton territory to Vestergaard, who has now found Smallbone, who finds Danny Ings. Ings on the burst, edge of the area, Ings! It's in! Danny Ings is at it again for Southampton. Clinical finishing from the Saints' top scorer this term once more. Drove at the Watford backline, and from just outside the area sent a low fizzing finish into the bottom right corner. It's Watford 0, Southampton 1.
That's an excellent goal. Really is a very, very well worked goal. One thing that I noticed about it early on, when the ball was played up from the Watford full-back, Romeo stepped across brilliantly well in front of Deeney to cut it out, and he started off the move. And once the ball went into Ings, excellent work, great feet. He's cut inside 2 men and he's curled it beautifully into the corner. Foster had absolutely no chance. Danny Ings is a fantastic finisher, and that was a really, really good goal.
Danny Ings now moves onto a very impressive 20 goals in all competitions this season for Southampton, 17 of those coming in the Premier League. He is level with Aubameyang and Salah, and only behind Jamie Vardy on 19. A tremendous effort from Danny Ings, who really is Southampton's saviour, and he scores in back-to-back away games, having also produced a fabulous finish in the 3-0 success away at Norwich last Friday. And he has scored in both of the encounters between the sides this season. Got Southampton's equaliser in their win over Watford at St Mary's in November, and as Andy was saying, it was such a good piece of play from Danny Ings, who has a reputation for being a bit of a fox in the box, but he has now scored quite a few goals that he has created all on his own.
He's got fantastic ability, he's got a good touch of the ball, he takes up clever positions, and as we've seen there, that was a really clever position, and he manipulated the ball really well. It was a very, very well worked goal, and the onus now is really back onto Watford. You know, they're going to have to start forcing the issue now. When they start forcing the issue, there's going to be gaps appear. So Watford need to be, you know, they need to keep their wits about them and make sure that they continue to stay organised, but they're going to have to start committing a little bit more. We haven't seen too much of them going forward, and you know, I know there's no home advantage because there's no fans here, but you know, they're still the home side here, and where they are, they could do with a point at least.
Nigel Pearson, arms folded at the edge of his technical area. We praise the work from Danny Ings for that opening goal, but I'm sure he'll have some stern words for his defenders, who backed off and really did invite Ings to advance and have a shy at goal. And Southampton have it just inside their own half with Vestergaard, who swings a boot at it and sends it long straight down the throat of Messina, the Watford left back. He tries to combine with Abdoulaye Doucouré. Doucouré hasn't really got into the game so far, hardly any action for him on the ball, and Watford need to wake up really. This is one of the games that they would have looked at as being winnable. They are at home to Norwich in a couple of weeks' time, Chelsea away next. Also have Newcastle here, West Ham away, and then finish with Manchester City and Arsenal. So still in their own hands, but considering their home record, they would have targeted this one as a potential 3 points. 1-0 to Southampton, 20 minutes on the clock. Danny Ings with the only goal of the game so far.
Watford need to get the creative players on the ball a bit more. They need to get Sarr on the ball. They need to get Pereira on the ball. The couple of times when they have got it, they created a really good chance early on in the game. So they need to try and manoeuvre it. They need to try and keep the ball moving and get the ball out to them wide areas, because they're the ones who are going to create chances for Deeney in the box and Doucouré making late runs as well.
Watford have only lost one of their last 7 Premier League home games under Nigel Pearson. 4 wins in that run, the only loss coming against Everton here at the start of February, and that was in the very last minute when they were beaten 3-2. Sarr trying to make something happen, in towards Doucouré on the edge of the area, who chested it nicely, but Ryan Bertrand was wise to the danger, tracked the Frenchman and then hammers it out of play for a throw to Watford, roundabout level with the Southampton penalty area. Taken quickly, Femenía has it, floats it into the area, Deeney's up there and couldn't get a touch on it. The ball sails across to the left hand side and Messina sends it back into the danger zone. Sarr was waiting, couldn't do anything with it. Watford have it back and are maybe just building up a little bit of a head of steam for the first time. Femenía now slips it down the line on the right side to Pereira, who was hoping to get the corner out of Vestergaard and instead has to settle for a throw. Pereira, the Argentine, takes it quickly. Femenía back to Sarr, early ball in, was curling towards Deeney around the edge of the 6-yard box, but Southampton have cleared their lines. But it's coming straight back at them because Dawson has it for Watford, into the feet of Etienne Capoue. Now it's Cathcart, closed down by Danny Ings. Hughes, short stabbed pass to Capoue. Nice little triangles from Watford. Now Pereira starts to advance on the right. His pass was sloppy though. Redmond has dispossessed Sarr and brings it away for Southampton. Danny Ings now on halfway, brings Walker-Peters into it on the right hand side. Walker-Peters doesn't have too many options, so he's going it alone for now, then checks back after being hassled by Capoue. Ward-Prowse is there to help him out. Halfway inside the Watford half, Walker-Peters swivels and has to go backwards, much to the disappointment of Hasenhüttl on the edge of his technical box. Walker-Peters out wide to Ward-Prowse, and Southampton just slow the game down to walking pace. Romeo has it, early pass from him, aiming for Redmond, nowhere near him though, and straight into the gloves of Ben Foster.
Well, we mentioned Sarr and we mentioned Pereira being the danger men for Watford, and where they are causing problems when they can't get into that final third is when they come in off the line. If they come into them little pockets and there, the fullback doesn't know whether he should go in with him or whether he should not, and if the fullback does go in with him, then what you do is one of the fullbacks push on and you can get the ball out to them for a delivery into the box. So a couple of times when they have kept the ball quite well and they've moved it quickly, they have created a couple of opportunities in different areas of the pitch.
It's the voice of former Ireland international Andy Reid here on BBC Radio 5 Live Sports Extra, where it is Watford 0, Southampton 1 midway through the first half at Vicarage Road. Ings with the goal, and Ings on the ball at the moment, about 20 yards out. Romeo now has it, central area, flicks it to the left, and Redmond back in field to Romeo. 3 Watford players go to close him, so he offloads to Bednarek. He's quickly closed down as well, so has to go further backwards toward Prowse, and he's eventually pressured by Deeney and sends it to his keeper McCarthy. McCarthy's short pass to Vestergaard, who has found Bertrand in a whole heap of room just inside Watford territory. He's on the move now, has Redmond to his left hand side, just outside the box now, Nathan Redmond. 2 Watford players close him down. Redmond looking for the angle to get a shot away, shuffles it backwards to Romeo, then clips it forwards looking for Ward-Prowse, who's got in, and Ward-Prowse closed down by Foster. It is a drinks break and it is a goal kick after Ward-Prowse nearly got in round the back, and Foster did just enough to put him off as the players head down towards the technical areas to have their drinks break midway through the first half.
It was good play there by Southampton. Romeo, he does a good job in front of the back four. He steps in and he wins the ball and he keeps it moving. It was a good ball over the top for Ward-Prowse. where Watford are finding problems are the two centre forwards are staying right up against the two centre backs, so there's a lot of space in between that midfield and the back four for Southampton to come into. So Nathan Redmond's coming into different areas of the pitch, and we seen that time Bertrand stayed forward and he came into that little pocket in there that's very, very difficult for the opposition fullback to go in and pick him up.
Watford trailing at home to Southampton by a Danny Ings goal to 0. Leicester against Chelsea in the FA Cup quarter-finals is on 5 Live right now. Newcastle against Manchester City at 6:30 on both 5 Live and on BBC One. We'll have the FA Cup semi-final draw for you at half-time in that game, and 6:06 with Robbie Savage and Sam Quek will follow on after that Newcastle-Manchester City match, as long as there is no extra time. And the football keeps on coming for you tomorrow as well. Crystal Palace against Burnley in the Premier League is the Monday night match. The players just finishing their water break. Ralph Hasenhüttl strolling back in towards his technical area, and he's a coach that has certainly impressed you, isn't he?
Yeah, he has, very much so. I like the way he's able to try things. He feels confident enough to try things. He's worked at a really high level before, and you look at the German coaches, they're very fashionable at the moment. They're very well respected. They're trying new things, and you see what Leipzig are doing, and the other Red Bull teams as well, and the other teams in Germany. So it's interesting to see these coaches who have worked in Germany, what they're doing and how they get on. And Hasenhüttl, I think he's done a really good job. It's a difficult job because there's big expectations, and they had done well over the years. So for him to take that on to the next level, he needs to make it secure first of all, and I think that's what he done. It was difficult when he came in at first, and now we're just starting to see shoots of them kind of being a little bit more fluent. And I like the way he's played two up front today. I think it's given Watford all sorts of problems, so it's good to see coaches being inventive.
Back underway then after the drinks break. 26 minutes played. Will Hughes has it for Watford, who trail by a goal to 0. Femenia closed down by Redmond, so sends it all the way back to Ben Foster. Shane Long was in close proximity to him, and his hurried clearance has fallen the way of Walker Peters for Southampton. Doucouré's picked his pocket though and feeds Pereira. He and Ismail Assar have swapped flanks throughout the opening stages of the game. Pereira now on the left, Sarr drifting across to the right, and in the end Dawson is forced to go back to Foster, who will just pump it long towards Deeney, who gets the flick on. Pereira chasing. Walker Peters though got the right side of the Argentine and can't jockey it out of play, so has to just send it out for a throw to Watford.
Troy Deeney will win his fair share of them balls when they come up, as flick-ons, or he'll take them down his chest. So it's very important that when he does go for them balls, that you do get people like Sarr and Pereira making runs off him.
Here's Danny Ings now, closed down by Cathcart. One back by Doucouré for Watford, who feeds Femenia on the right-hand side. Redmond across to pop it out for a throw halfway inside the Southampton half. Cathcart goes back to the halfway line, and Capoue. Cathcart now in possession, offloads to Femenia, who tries to generate a bit of pace. Quick 1-2 with Will Hughes, now fed into Doucouré by the D of the area. No way through a trio of white Southampton shirts, but he's kept possession and found Messina on the left. Now it's Pereira, who fancies a run against Walker Peters. Got away from him, but then fouled him, and it's a free kick to Southampton in their right back area, and Walker Peters stuck to his task well there.
Yeah, he did. He defended really well there. I would like the wide players. I know that wide players, they tend to want to dribble and beat the man, but sometimes you don't always need to beat the man and go past him. You get the ball out your feet and whip a ball into the box. I mean, look at the height they've gotten with Deeney and Doucouré making a late run into the box. If you can get balls into that box, you would think that they will have a chance of scoring, but the longer you leave it, you delay, it just gives them more of a chance to organise. And Walker Peters did defend well that time.
Walker Peters, who is on loan from Tottenham Hotspur, joined from Spurs in January, was on as a substitute in both of Southampton's previous Premier League games since the restart, and this is only the second time he's been in from the off for Southampton. And there is going to be a break here after one of the Southampton players went down injured.
You know, we speak about them water breaks that you get, and they're more like the breaks that they've got in basketball, because the managers are trying to get so much tactical information there. You know, I think they're really making the most of it, as you would do. You know, it's trying to reorganise, you trying to give your team a little bit of a G up. Can you tweak things a little bit? It gives coaches a real good opportunity, because I think when the coach is on the sideline, it's a bit easier now that there's no fans in the ground, but when the stadiums are full, it's very, very difficult to get your points across and to get them across clearly.
Shane Long is still receiving some treatment after landing awkwardly as he went up for a header. He's up against a couple of former teammates today in Ben Foster and Craig Dawson, who he played with at West Bromwich Albion, and he's still receiving some treatment now, and that would be a blow for Southampton, because he and Danny Ings have linked up quite nicely early on.
Yeah, they have. It's been a real problem for Watford to be able to deal with it. Long has stretched the play. Ings has come in to try and look to get on the ball, and the centre backs have, you know, they've struggled to kind of cope with that. So it will be a big loss for him. They have got players on the bench who can come in and replace him. But I think Southampton are a better team when Long is in it. I always think they look like more of a threat. There's always more of a threat in behind, and when balls come into the box, he's got a good leap on him. Just see here, I just think he's just landed a little bit awkwardly, and I don't know if he's jarred his knee or his ankle or something like that. I'm not too sure. Could possibly be his knee.
Yeah, Messina was the player he went up with, and there was another of his own teammates in there as well, and it did look like an awkward fall. He's just gone off the pitch now to have it seen to a bit more intensively, but no sign of any Southampton changes, and Long is back on and is okay to continue. Ben Foster has the ball at his feet then. 31 minutes gone on BBC Radio 5 Live Sports Extra. Watford 0, Southampton 1. It's not been a classic, but not too many of the games since the resumption of the Premier League campaign have been thrillers. Danny Ings wins a header in the centre circle, and then a mistake from Dawson allows Long to burst through the centre, and in trying to make up for his error, Dawson has clattered Long and will take one for the team, as it's known in the business, and pick up a yellow card for stopping Long illegally.
Yeah, Foster's looked to go long to Deeney there, and listen, that's all very well, but you have to win the second ball, and if they don't win the second ball, they've committed a lot of men forward to get around them, to try and pick up the second ball, but you have to read the game a little bit better. They didn't get onto the second ball, and they left themselves a little bit exposed there, and Dawson had to bring down Long, and they've got a free kick in an interesting area, probably a little, well, it's definitely a little bit too far out to shoot. Well, I think it is, although Redmond looks like he might be ready to have a pop.
Redmond is over it, and James Ward-Prowse is there as well. So Ward-Prowse, who scored a free kick against Watford earlier on this season to win the match at St Mary's, leaves it for Redmond to have a pop instead, and it wasn't a bad effort from Redmond. It was that sort of Cristiano Ronaldo type strike where he tries to strike the valve of the ball and get it to dip down, but it didn't do enough to seriously trouble Foster.
He's a quality keeper, Ben Foster, and I'd be very, very surprised to see him beaten from that distance.
Well, he made an easy save and then nearly made a hash of his clearance, as it was fortunate to find Feminier on halfway. Ward-Prowse now is down for Southampton, who, as I mentioned, has scored against Watford, got the winner against them at St Mary's in November with a free kick, and that's actually the last time that he scored, way back in November. Romeo has gone down now and is wanting some treatment. Oriol Romeo making a rare start for Southampton today, but he is a seasoned campaigner for them and is normally a reliable pair of hands in the centre of midfield. So it's the team who have impressed away from home that have the advantage against the side who have generally produced their best on their own patch. Only the Manchester clubs and Liverpool have won more home points since the day of Nigel Pearson's first home game. But Watford, with just the one victory in their last 9, both home and away, that 3-0 win against Liverpool back in February. And he'll be a bit concerned, not about their position in the table. He says that he is sure they've got enough to get themselves out of trouble, but perhaps just the lack of 3 points on the board, as I say, could be just one win in 10 if they don't manage to get 3 points from this one.
It's just scrappy and stop-start. The physio's been on 5 or 6 times already, and it just hasn't flowed, the game. It's difficult to get the flow. I totally understand that, but I'd like to see one team really kind of push for it and see if they can generate that momentum, see if they can get themselves on top a little bit more. And it's a perfect opportunity for Southampton because all the pressure is on Watford, so there's no pressure on them. They should relax, try and enjoy it, get the ball down and see if they can get themselves another goal.
10 minutes to go until the break. Watford 0, Southampton 1 on BBC Radio 5 Live Sports Extra. And Watford need to try and wake themselves up from their slumber because it has not been a sharp performance. Both these teams played on Thursday. Southampton beaten 2-0 at home by Arsenal. Watford had a long journey up to Burnley for their 1-0 loss at Turf Moor. Foster has it now as Romeo continues to receive treatment off the pitch. Southampton down to 10 men, and he's being patched up by the Southampton medical staff, who are fully equipped in their PPE at the moment. Oriol Romeo is only wearing his boxer shorts. He's got no shirt on, no shorts, and they're trying to stop some bleeding from his nose. It's almost like a catwalk model waiting for his next outfit. As Hughes has a go from just outside the area, it's gone straight into the face of James Ward-Prowse, who took that square in his jaw from no more than a couple of yards away, and Michael Oliver has halted play so he can receive some treatment, and that will give Romeo a bit more time to finally get his catwalk sorted out and get his shirt on.
I think the physios have covered more distance than the midfielders in this game so far. I don't ever remember watching a game where the physios have been on so much.
Well, Romeo is now fully clothed and able to continue, and James Ward-Prowse is shaken off that blow from the ball to his face from Will Hughes' pot shot. But Alex McCarthy in the Southampton goal still yet to have to make a serious save. To be fair, Ben Foster hasn't had a great deal to do. It's just that one moment of quality from Danny Ings early on that separates the sides. His 20th goal in all competitions this season, and only Jamie Vardy has scored more in the Premier League than the 17 Ings has for the Saints this term. Really is very impressive work when you consider that he's playing for a team who have struggled for most of the season. Redmond now for Southampton. Short pass to Romeo, goes for an early long arcing ball which was missed by Dawson, but fortunately for him, Long couldn't quite get there before the ball bounced into the area where Ben Foster was waiting right at the edge of it to gather the ball in.
Two centre-backs have just looked a little bit shaky, and I'm surprised a little bit because Dawson is somebody with a phenomenal amount of experience, and Cathcart as well, two good seasoned centre-backs, and they've just struggled to deal with the two up front, and they've just been a little bit unsure about the distances, and they've missed a couple of balls.
Troy Deeney is down in the centre circle, but play is going on. He's still on his knees at the moment. Ings chases a ball, but doesn't quite have the pace to get away from Feminier. That said, he's managed to wrestle possession off him and then buy a foul out of the Spanish fullback. Well, looked a lost cause for Danny Ings there as he was outpaced by Feminier, but he got the ball and then got the wrong side of the defender and very cleverly won the free kick.
Femini has been a little bit unlucky there because he did show great pace, as you said, and Ings just managed to just nick the ball away from him, and as Femini was turning, he just caught Ings' ankle. And it's a good opportunity, this, if you get good delivery into the box. They've got some big boys. I've just been looking at Vestergaard there, and he's a big unit. If they can get the ball into the right area here, there could be an opportunity.
Left hand side, this free kick about level with the corner of the penalty area, but at 10 yards to the left hand side of it, so it's going to be whipped in by Ward-Prowse. Dangerous ball, and nobody got a touch. Ben Foster was waiting for it and made the catch, but if anyone had got a touch on that wicked delivery from Ward-Prowse, it would have flicked beyond him and into the Watford net.
We know he's got fantastic delivery. We've seen it time and time again. You know where he's going to be looking for. He's going to be looking for that corridor of uncertainty, and I couldn't see who was trying to get on the end of it, but they were just a bit short. But it was a great delivery, really good delivery.
Only Manchester City have scored in more Premier League away matches than Southampton this season. The Saints have only failed to score at Turf Moor and Anfield this season. They've already got one on the road this afternoon, and you wouldn't bet against them getting more. Here is Smallbone, who after seeing a decent amount of the ball early on has been a bit starved of it since then. Walker-Peters, who's been neat and tidy so far, fires it into Shane Long. He goes back to Danny Ings, and there seems to be a bit more confidence about Southampton now as they spray the ball around and look to find some holes at the back for Watford as we go into the final 5 minutes of the first half. And although it is only 1-0, you do feel that it's Southampton in the ascendancy. Here is Ward-Prowse on the right side for Southampton. Fired quickly into Danny Ings, who tries to flick it round the corner for Smallbone to chase. Messina wise to it and uses his strength to nudge him off the ball and then clatter it up towards Deeney, who's out-jumped by Vestergaard. And then Ward-Prowse tries to get there ahead of Doucouré, all a bit messy, and the ball just wriggles its way through to Bednarek, who'll find Bertrand, the Southampton left-back. He's helped out by Nathan Redmond, who's dropped into defence, but his pass is aimless and straight to Messina, who can come away with it and knock it into the feet of Etienne Capoue. The only thing is that Watford look a bit laboured in possession, and Etienne Capoue was actually screaming at his teammates there to give him an option. He didn't have anyone in a forward position he could play the ball to, so had to go backwards, and he's still chuntering to Craig Cathcart about that.
Well, we spoke earlier on about the formations, okay, and you've got three in midfield for Watford. Now, that three in midfield have to dominate possession against the two in midfield for Southampton. If you're going to play there, you really have to dominate.
Sarr getting away on the right-hand side, Bertrand tugging him back, Michael Oliver not interested. Now Ismaila Sarr stopped running because he felt he was being fouled by Ryan Bertrand in the penalty area. Michael Oliver is going to have a chat with his VAR Chris Kavanagh to just decide whether or not there was anything in it, and the answer is no, so play can get back underway. He certainly did seem to be having his shirt tugged.
He did, but don't stop. You know, he's just stopped. He was in a really good position there. Okay, there was a little tug, but get in there and put the ball across the box, see if your team can get a goal. Don't just stop. It's disappointing to see that.
Yeah, it really was one of those situations where he thought it was nailed on, he was going to get the penalty. That's the only reason that you would actually stop for, is if you think it's a certainty that the penalty award is coming. In the end, he let the ball run behind, and Southampton had a goal kick, and the chance evaporated for Watford, and they have not had many. Just that one opportunity for Sarr early on when he got him round the back and couldn't find either Deeney or Doucouré in support. Bar that, Watford have looked blunt in attack. Here is Redmond losing his way in an advanced area for Southampton. Watford looking to come away with it, but the ball just spoons off Ismaila Sarr's feet and goes out for a throw to Southampton in the Watford half, with 2.5 minutes to play in the first half, and Southampton leading by 1-0.
They won't be in any hurry to take this. You know, they've had a decent first half. They haven't been great, but they've had a decent first half. They've got the goal. They've looked more threatening. They'll be happy to get in at half time with the score like this, and the momentum in their favour.
Don't forget, there's live FA Cup football right now on 5 Live. Leicester against Chelsea, Newcastle against Manchester City to come at 6:30. That one's also live on BBC One. There's the draw for the FA Cup semi-finals as well for you at half-time in that Newcastle game, and another Premier League commentary for you tomorrow night on 5 Live with Crystal Palace at home to Burnley. Here at Vicarage Road, it is Watford 0, Southampton 1, into the final 2 minutes of normal time at the end of the first half. Bertrand has it on the left-hand side, his ball towards the edge of the area, cut out by Pereira. Now Deeney on the turn, quickly crunched by 3 Southampton players, and there is that pressing that has been so handy for Southampton, has helped them to this very impressive away haul of points that they've managed in the Premier League this season. There is a reason why Ralph Hasenhüttl was nicknamed the Alpine Klopp, the Austrian version of the Liverpool manager. Similar sort of high intensity game, and we saw it there.
Yeah, they do like to counter press. As soon as they give away the ball in that middle area of the pitch, or even a little bit further up, you see 2 or 3 men automatically going straight towards the ball to try and win it. And it can be a very useful tactic because you win the ball back a lot higher up the pitch, and it gives you more of an opportunity because you're closer to the opposition's goal. So it can be a very, very useful tactic. It does take a hell of a lot of hard work, and you need to get your players to buy into it. And certainly today the Southampton players, they look well up for this, considering, you know, some are saying that they don't have too much to play for. Well, they've been up for this today.
30 seconds of normal time at the end of the first half to play. Romeo with a bit of a careless header, which nearly dropped for Troy Deeney, but it's picked up in the Southampton half by Bednarek, who sends it wide to Walker-Peters. Not close enough to him though. Messina can intercept, and then he sprays it forwards, but it's another poor pass, and Watford's passing has left a fair bit to be desired. And Nigel Pearson does not look like a man who's going to have a cheery half-time team talk with his players when they go in. He was pretty furious with what he saw in the first half at Burnley, and I don't think he's going to be best pleased with the efforts in the first period this afternoon either, as he stands again with his arms folded, chewing furiously on some gum as the fourth official raises the board to show 4 additional minutes at the end of this first half. A first half Southampton have probably deserved to lead by a solitary Danny Ings goal to nil.
Yeah, they definitely do deserve the lead. There's no doubt about that. Watford haven't really got into the game. They haven't really created any chances. They've had a couple of half-decent opportunities to get into decent areas, but no real clear-cut chances. They haven't kept the ball particularly well. So, you know, they've a lot to do.
Redmond has found Bertrand. Final action of the first half, perhaps. Good cross towards the arriving Smallbone. Messina was strong to just nudge it behind for a corner, but nervy moments there for Watford as that was floated in dangerously.
I don't think Smallbone was ever going to win that against Messina there. There's a little bit of a physicality deficit there for Will Smallbone.
So a corner for Southampton in stoppage time at the end of the first half. James Ward-Prowse in no hurry to take it. It's on the right hand side, so with Ward-Prowse's delivery it will be an outswinger from his right boot. 6 Southampton players in and around the penalty area to aim for in their white shirts. Another good delivery. Vestergaard was waiting. Capoue got a very important head on that though to prevent it falling to the Danish defender.
He does have it. You know, we mentioned earlier on with that free kick, and that corner kick was right on the money. There was an outswinger. The keeper couldn't come to get it. Caused all sorts of problems in that real danger area.
Throw for Watford, but again possession is conceded, and James Ward-Prowse finds Carl Walker-Peters, who's on his bike, surging forwards from the halfway line, making good ground. Now short pass to Redmond out wide right, backwards to Romeo. Southampton perhaps just deciding to play a bit of possession football to get themselves to half-time with their 1-0 lead intact. It's Redmond who's going the long way round from the right-hand side, and then a poor pass from him is cut out by Hughes, but Danny Ings was quickly onto it, doing his defensive duties, and it's worked back to McCarthy. His first time clearance upfield. There's plenty of height but not a great deal of distance on it, and Capoue again is having a go at Craig Cathcart. Not happy bunnies, the Watford players, with what's gone on in the first half. There's a fair amount of frustration, and an important half-time team talk coming up from Nigel Pearson.
Yeah, he's got a lot of work to do. You know, this is a massive game. It's really important. On the back of losing at Burnley the other day, you know, they could really do with getting something out of this game. So he'll have to tweak a few things. There's no doubt about that. He'll have to try and calm the players down. They, as you mentioned, they are getting frustrated, and the more they get frustrated, the easier it becomes for Southampton.
Into the final minute of the 4 additional at the end of this first half, with Southampton still leading by a goal to nil. Sarr is fouled, and it will be a free kick for Watford just inside their own half. Shane Long is across there, just making sure Etienne Capoue doesn't buy a couple of yards, and Capoue will swing a boot at this. Last chance perhaps for Watford to get themselves level after a flat performance, and they've got themselves a free kick after Dawson went to ground. It's midway inside the Southampton half, and this will certainly be the last action of the first period. Over goes Will Hughes and Adam Messina. Fancy Hughes will take it, and indeed he's just told Messina to do one. Hughes is now joined by Pereira, so this free kick out wide on the left hand side, about 15 yards outside the penalty area. Hughes whips it in, good depth on the delivery, but the flag is up for offside, and that will almost certainly be the last action of the half, and Michael Oliver does indeed blow his whistle to bring the first half to a close, and it is one that Southampton lead Watford at the end of by 1-0. And Andy Reid, on the balance of play, you'd say that's probably a fair reflection.
Yeah, most definitely is. Southampton deserve the lead. They've been the better side. They've been the more composed side. They've kept the ball really well at times, and the longer it's gone on, the more difficult it's become from Watford. We spoke about that overload in midfield. Watford have 3 men in midfield against Southampton's 2 in Romeo and Ward-Prowse, but you wouldn't think it. They haven't used that numerical advantage at all. And one area that has disappointed me, when them balls have, from a Watford perspective, when the balls have gone up to Troy Deeney, they haven't won them second balls. You know, that's what you need to do. You need to play off Troy Deeney and try and win them second balls. They haven't done that. And up the other end of the pitch then, Long and Ings have caused the 2 centre-backs in Dawson and Cathcart lots of problems by stretching them. And then when one of the strikers stretches them, the other one comes into them little pockets and gets on the ball. So a lot of work for Nigel Pearson to do at half-time.
Yeah, the half-time score here at Vicarage Road then. Watford 0, Southampton 1.
5 Live Breakfast.
They've done it. They have. We thought they would do it. Chris is with us. Chris, I'm just can't help but think of the great players: Gerrard, Dalglish, Robbie Fowler, John Barnes.
Go back further: Alan Kennedy, Emlyn Hughes,
Souness, Michael Owen. My goodness me, it goes on. What about Ian Rush?
He was pretty decent.
Yeah. Morning, Ian.
I thought it was amazing. We waited so long and everything. At one stage, you think, will the season be finished? But no, we got there in the end, and I think it's going to be a very, very good few days.
5 Live Breakfast, back Monday morning from 6.
Here at Vicarage Road then, Watford trailing Southampton by 1-0. There are 3 FA Cup ties taking place today. Arsenal have already beaten Sheffield United. We'll hear from Mikel Arteta and Chris Wilder shortly, but ahead of the late kick-off, Manchester City against Newcastle, Kevin De Bruyne has been chatting to Gary Lineker, and first of all the Belgian reflected on Liverpool's title win.
I've got no issues of saying that they were better this year. I think we know how hard it is to win the league and to repeat it. And, you need to be constantly really good. And, the last few years showed that you almost have to be perfect to win the league with the amount of points that is happening. So, and they were, and we were not. So there's no issue to say that.
How were you feeling personally about coming back to play football? Were you itching to get back, or did you have some concerns?
I was all right. I'm not that worried. Even my missus is pregnant, so she's also a little bit of a trouble case with obviously everything that is going on. But she's fine. So I think in the world that we live in, with all the testing, I think we are probably the most safe environment out of everybody. So I feel fine with it.
What about fitness-wise? Was Pep on your case during lockdown, or did he leave you to it?
To be honest, we got a program, but they left us quite okay. I didn't stop, so I trained 6 out of 7 days mainly. Because I know myself, once you stop for a week or 2 weeks, it's difficult to start again. So I didn't want to get in that mode of relaxing a bit, because you never knew when we're going to have a restart or whatever. So it was a little bit like, I just go on with it.
Looking at the season as a whole, Kevin, obviously the league title has gone now, but you've still got a lot to play for, and FA Cup and the Champions League. It could still be a massively brilliant season.
Yeah, obviously. If we win these two, well, I don't know what happened. That will be an incredible season. That will mean we won another 3 trophies. And that doesn't happen a lot. I think you always have to be be very happy with whatever you win. There's not a lot of people who win trophies, and it's hard. No, whatever trophy it is. So whatever you can get your hands on, you're really delighted with it. So we're gonna try. It's gonna be a hard game on Sunday anyway. So but we will try to win that, and we'll see what's going to happen going forward.
Yeah, you came out of the lockdown. The first 2 games were terrific. Obviously, it didn't happen for you at Chelsea, but Newcastle have started quite well as well after the lockdown. It should be a good game.
Yeah, it's always tough to play there. No, I think they have a good team. They have a good structure. They know what they're doing, and they know what they are as a team. And they have some good forward play. So they're really dangerous on the break. They have some pace. So it's going to be a hard game. But yeah, obviously it's a cup game. It's all or nothing.
I mean, Newcastle get great support normally. I think the home advantage practically disappears with behind closed doors football, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't think there's home advantage, to be honest. It is just weird, because there's no fans. You do the traveling and all that stuff, but the support always does something to you, no matter where you play. And even playing away, I enjoy it. People are against you, and it gives you something inside sometimes, and it can help you. But now we have to find a reason to do it ourselves, and it's a different situation as a professional, what we've never been into. But I think we're doing all right. I think the teams are showing that they still put a lot of pride and intensity into the games as much as they can. So I think that's a big up for all the players in the Premier League, to be honest.
Yeah, you've come back in great form yourself, scoring goals, brilliant free kick, even though obviously you lost, but prior to that played well in a couple of games. I mean, it's been a terrific season for you personally, Kevin. I mean, I think you lead the statistics in most chances created and assists as well. You must be delighted after a season of injury to come back and be at your best.
Well, I'm just happy that I've been fit for the whole year. I missed a lot of games last year, even that I've played quite a lot. But this year I came back, I was focused, and I started the season really well. And I think I just maintained my level, and I'm really, really happy about that. And obviously I still want to help the team win some titles. So I'm trying to do that, and we'll see where it ends in the end of the year.
Yeah, I suppose with being in such great form, we should be in the middle of the Euros now, of course. It must be really disappointing because obviously, Belgium have been one of the favourites.
Well, I was disappointed that obviously the lockdown started, because I felt I was in a good rhythm and in a good form, and you never know what's going to happen after a lockdown. I didn't want to stop working or because I was trying to maintain a little bit, but obviously after being away for 3 months is difficult to know. But I came back in quite good physical condition. Form is all right, but I know I need to step up, and I think it's normal for the players. I need to get more rhythm, more intensity, and then my game will be better than it is now. But I'm happy with the way we started the last few games.
Yeah, you certainly look in great shape. But thanks very much for talking to us, Kevin. And by the way, happy birthday for Sunday.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So that's Kevin De Bruyne speaking to Gary Lineker ahead of Manchester City's FA Cup quarter-final against Newcastle, which is live both on BBC Radio 5 Live and on BBC One. 6:30 kickoff in that one. One tie that has already finished is Arsenal against Sheffield United. Arsenal seeing off Sheffield United by 2-1, and afterwards Mikel Arteta was speaking to Steve Bauer.
Mikel, how pleasing a win is that, and the way you did it?
I am really pleased. A really difficult place to come in and get a win here. We are back at Wembley. We are delighted to that this competition. It's very related to our football club, and I'm really happy with the performance and the attitude of the players as well.
I was going to say, you know the history, you're part of it. How important is it to keep going in the FA Cup?
Yeah, that's what I try to transmit them, that it's a great opportunity for us to try to win a title, to play in Europe as well. We played 4 away games since restarting the Premier League, and that's not an easy thing to do. The calendar that we have from the Premier League, thank you very much, to play every 3 days while the rest are resting, but no excuses, we'll go for it and try again on Wednesday.
And a couple of wins this week with the rotation must be a big pleasing.
Yeah,
thing
everybody
for the squad.
deserves a chance. They are training really well. The spirit in the dressing room is really good. I need everybody, and you can say with words, but after you have to give game time to the players, and they deserve today the credit of winning here.
In the second half, were you concerned at times because they had their moments, Sheffield United?
Yeah, and I know they were going to have. The way they play, they are so good at the game plan and how they put teams under pressure, and there are going to be moments that you're going to suffer. We won through them, then we conceded the goal on a long throw, which is very difficult to defend, to be honest, but the reaction straight away from the team was superb to go and try to win the game.
And one of your substitutes goes and does it for you.
And do it, yeah. And Dan is not a goal scorer, but he was at the right time, very composed, and we are so happy.
And now let's hear from the losing manager, Chris Wilder, also with Steve Bauer.
Chris, is that a tough one to take at the end in injury time, the way you got yourself back in?
Yeah, it is better performance, better than the last two. Second half at Newcastle, and obviously Manchester United, even though you're playing Manchester United, and they've got some talent, especially at the top of the pitch, which we saw close up on Wednesday night, but it was more of a Sheffield United performance, which I'm happy about. We don't like losing us professionals, do we? And we've gone out the competition disappointed in the manner of their winner, because I thought second half especially, the momentum was with us. A couple of things are not going for us. So, first and second balls we won a lot, and which we wanted to allow us to play. Obviously the goal was disappointing. John Lundstrom being offside, which is a correct decision, and obviously their penalty. In quick succession, a bit rash was bash, but second half more like us, forced the issue, played on the front foot. Just lacking that little bit of confidence, really, which obviously happens, Steve, when you lose 2 games 3-0 and 3-0. And we've got some good players at the football club, so they need to believe a little bit more in themselves, and possibly as much as I believe in them and what they've done for myself and the football club, especially over the last 7 months. I was looking to me right for the majority of the second half, and they've got incredible pace at the top of the pitch, great movement, but I thought we dominated, we pressed well, we were aggressive, we played more in their half, which I wanted us to do. It wasn't the fluent performances that we've produced so far this season, but sometimes you have to go back to basics. We went a little bit more direct and asked the question, and it worked, and we've created the better chances. Bash should score, a couple of other chances that we've created, but we're just looking for that little bit of quality when bullets are flying about, that turns a 1-goal deficit into 1-1 into 2-1.
Chris Wilder with Steve Bauer there after Sheffield United's 2-1 loss to Arsenal in the FA Cup quarter-final. So here at Vicarage Road in the Premier League, it is Southampton leading Watford by a Danny Ings goal to 0. And certainly, Andy Reid, some work for Nigel Pearson to do during the break. What's the first thing he needs to address?
Well, they need to keep possession of the ball a bit better than what they have. They need to, use that advantage that they've got in the midfield. But for me, one of the biggest areas where they're struggling and why they're not able to get up the pitch, they haven't won many in second balls, so the ball is going up to Deeney. We know that Deeney will make it difficult for centre backs. He's done it his whole career. So when the ball goes up and he tries to chest it down or he tries to flick it on, it has to be a Watford short getting onto that second ball. It's vitally important. In the first half, it was all Southampton getting on that. So that's in an attacking sense. They really need to try and gain some territory in that, and that might lead to some opportunities being created. Defensively, they need to look at the two centre forwards that they're playing against and come to some sort of way of dealing with them. At the moment, Long is making runs in behind, and Ings is coming off and getting the ball in the pocket, and that's where the goal came from, him coming off and getting into that little pocket. And so they have to find a way with doing that. Who's going to go in with Ings, and who's going to match the run of Long going forward, because at the moment it's just not quite working for them. I'd like to see a little bit more intensity from them as well. All the intensity in that half for me has come from Southampton. So, to compete in the Premier League and to stay up in the Premier League, you need to play with intensity. You need to have a little bit more fire in your belly.
And looking at the bench, they've got the likes of Tom Cleverley and Danny Welbeck there, Peñaranda as well. Amongst the substitutes, the youngster João Pedro. Do you think that he'll be looking at switching any personnel in the immediate future?
Yeah, I would imagine that it probably crossed his mind to possibly make a change at half time. But I would imagine what he'll do is he'll say, well, listen, let's give it another 5 or 10 minutes. You just have to show me that you deserve to be out on the pitch. We know Cleverley's he's a good player. He gets in good positions. He can be creative at times as well. And Danny Welbeck, can be quality. You know, I've seen that firsthand. I played with him at Sunderland, and he was really, really good when he came up, and he's finding his way back after all his injuries, but we definitely know that on his day he can get himself a goal. So them changes will be going around in Nigel Pearson's head, and unless things change pretty drastically, I don't think it'll be too long before we see one of them.
Okay, well, both sets of players are now back on the pitch here at Vicarage Road. Watford were the second team to emerge, Nigel Pearson having as long as he possibly could with his players before play got back underway. Southampton set to pick up another 3 points on the road this season. They have been very impressive on their travels. So the sun is out at Vicarage Road. It's been a mixed day weather-wise. It's been a mixed time for Watford under Nigel Pearson as well. They started so strongly, but are they on course to go another game without a victory and keep themselves right in the relegation mire? It is the second half underway here on BBC Radio 5 Live Sports Extra. Southampton 1-0 up, courtesy of Danny Ings' goal. What can Watford do in an attacking sense? Well, Pereira immediately onto a ball through the centre, but as soon as he got onto that, Southampton had so many white shirts back there. Messina has it left hand side, fizzes an angled ball in. It's gone beyond everyone and comes to Sarr, who tries to smash a ball across towards the 6-yard box. It goes off Walker-Peters though for a throw.
We spoke about them second balls, and straight away Deeney kind of challenges for a ball. It breaks down and Pereira then gets onto that second ball, and it just gives them an opportunity to start an attack. So, you know, it's vitally important that they get more of them.
And they've got themselves a free kick in a promising position early in the second half. Nathan Redmond looks a bit surprised about the award of it, but Michael Oliver was on the spot. Hughes just nudged over by Redmond. Not a great deal in it, but it will be a free kick for Watford. Pereira and Hughes in attendance. Right hand side as Watford look at it. Troy Deeney is inside the 6-yard box. 4 other Watford players in the penalty area. Pereira's free kick is a deep one, and it's caused some problems, and Ismaila Sarr sees his effort crash into a cluster of Southampton players. Goes down as one of Watford's best moments of the game, even though it still didn't force a save out of Alex McCarthy. But it is a better start to the second period from Nigel Pearson's side. Capoue with a long arcing ball out towards the right flank, and Pereira sends it backwards to Femenir, whose ball in wasn't bad, but Romeo read it. But this is much better from Watford, certainly in terms of intensity at least. Romeo turns into trouble in a dangerous area, and Deeney from the edge of the box lets fly, chested it down, then smashed the volley, but it was always rising over the top of McCarthy's crossbar.
It's sat up nicely for him. I'd be disappointed that he hasn't hit the target there, but again, winning second balls, playing with a little bit of intensity, all the things that half time we said they would need to have, and they've started the second half particularly well, and they seem to have that bit more fire about them, and they've gained a good bit of territory, created a couple of good opportunities. The set piece to the back post was a decent chance, and a good chance fell to Sarr, and only for a good block it would have been a goal.
Southampton leading on their travels again. Only 5 teams have taken more away points than the 23 that they've picked up on the road this season, and only Chelsea, Manchester City and Liverpool have won more away games than the Saints. Here's Smallbone with a bit of space in centre field. Let's Walker-Peters pick up the running, and he really is running, motoring towards the edge of the area. Finds Danny Ings slightly right of centre. His ball into good one, but Long couldn't quite get there in time to make contact with it, and it curls behind for a goal kick.
Very unlucky there. It was really good play by Southampton. They broke really quickly, and Ings cut back on his left foot, and he's seen Long hanging out at the back post, and he just tried to angle the ball so Long could come onto it. And don't forget, Long's very good in the air. He was inches away from getting on the end of that. So Foster just waiting to get play back underway, and Michael Oliver has halted play for the time being because Sarr
is in need of some treatment. Didn't see what the incident was that led to that, but it doesn't look in a good way.
I think Ryan Bertrand's come in and tackled him, and as he's won the ball, Bertrand has kind of followed through. I think it's his natural momentum has taken him through, and he's just caught Sarr somewhere on the leg. It looked a painful one. He's sat back up now, so I'm sure he'll be up and running about in no time.
Well, Sarr has been a man in good form for Watford. 6 goals this season. He's their joint top scorer in all competitions, along with Troy Deeney. Last time he found the net was that memorable evening here against Liverpool when they were 3-0 winners in February. And the Senegalese is back on his feet now, as Craig Shakespeare sends out some instructions from virtually the edge of the pitch, advancing out of his technical area, just asking for a bit more oomph from the Watford players. Ralph Hasenhüttl in his cap and grey tracksuit just patrols the edge of his box. Certainly the happier of the two managers in terms of what they have seen so far, and in terms of the scoreline, with Southampton leading Watford by a goal to 0. 5 minutes gone in the second half here on BBC Radio 5 Live Sports Extra. And Dawson sends a pass which Messina struggles to keep in, the left back. Walker-Peters was quickly onto him, and Walker-Peters will be the player to take the throw for Southampton. Decides to go all the way back to the halfway line, and Bednarek, who in turn is forced further back to McCarthy. His long clearance upfield, met by Long, who got up well to beat Dawson to it. Nearly broke for Danny Ings, mopped up at the back by Feminea, and then a wretched attempt of a clearance by Bednarek just goes out on the halfway line, and Nigel Pearson, acting as ball boy, gives it to Messina, who looks to find Deeney with the throw, beaten to it by Bednarek. It drops in centre field, and Capoue with an ambitious crossfield pass which is cut out in the end by Bertrand. And Watford under pressure at the back. Cathcart sends the ball more up than out. Long has won it for Southampton, sends it to Redmond, and Redmond has won it back after losing it initially, jinking and weaving his way into the area, gets to the byline. What's the cross like? It's behind for a goal kick.
It was good play, really good play there. Redmond's gone on the outside. Unfortunately, the ball just went out of play when he tried to cross it. But you know, more front foot stuff from Southampton. They seem to have grown back into this second half there. Long has been particularly good in the air. Dawson and Cathcart have struggled to deal with him, and he done really well there to get hold of the ball. It dropped down out of the sky. He used his strength really well.
It's the voice of Andy Reid here on BBC Radio 5 Live Sports Extra. Chelsea are ahead against Leicester late on in their FA Cup quarter-final. Arsenal already through after beating Sheffield United, and we still have Manchester City at Newcastle to come. 6:30 on 5 Live and on BBC One, and the FA Cup draw will take place at half-time in that game as well, and providing it doesn't go to extra time, there'll be 6:06 with Robbie Savage and Sam Quek on a bumper Sunday for you across the BBC. Throw meanwhile here at Vicarage Road for Watford, who started the second half with a bit of vim and vigour, but it's gone a bit flat since then. Although the ball from out wide nearly found its way to Deeney on the edge of the area. Deeney has to go backwards to Dawson in the centre circle, and his clearance was charged down by Danny Ings. The loose ball rebounds favourably for Watford though to Foster, who can hoik it up towards the edge of the Southampton box. Walker-Peters' clearance isn't the greatest, and then Smallbone took too long. Messina onto him, but his poked ball is gathered by McCarthy.
That looked a free kick to me there. I thought he came through the back of Deeney there, the centre back. Deeney went down. The referee wasn't buying any of it, but it looked a free kick to me.
Forwards it goes from Vestergaard. 1-0 to Southampton. Could be a costly defeat for Watford in their fight against relegation. Walker-Peters is underneath this high ball, and his pass has too much on it for Smallbone. Smallbone put the squeeze on Dawson though, who sends it all the way back to Foster. The Watford goalkeeper, his pumped ball Messina goes for it, Walker-Peters leaves it, and it drifts out for a throw to the visitors. Walker-Peters taking his time. Ralph Hasenhüttl just trying to get a message across to Shane Long. Nearly 10 minutes gone in the second half. Still Southampton leading by a very well taken Danny Ings goal to nil, his 20th of the campaign, 17th in the Premier League. Foster plays it out from the back to Cathcart. Cathcart square to Dawson, who feeds Messina on the left side, centre field at the moment. Poked through the middle, looking for Sarr. Vestergaard underneath it. Ward-Prowse mopping things up as well, and then Bednarek sends it long, but to no one in particular. And Watford just hassling and hurrying Southampton, who don't look quite as assured in possession as they did towards the end of the first half.
Yeah, it is better. It's better from them, and we mentioned the intensity and trying to up the tempo of the game. I'd just like to see the quality be a little bit more from a Watford perspective. The quality of the forward passing hasn't been particularly good, and just as I say that, Capuis strikes a fantastic ball out to the fullback.
Femenia was the fullback. He found his cross was cleared only as far as Hughes though for Watford. Back to Pereira. Good shape from Southampton though, those white shirts in two banks of four as soon as Watford get on the ball. Messina nudges a header forwards to Dinu, helps it on towards Sarr, nearly in round the back, but Walker-Peters was wise to it and sent it out for the corner.
We've seen the difference now in Watford. Messina has stepped on, he's won that ball as it's broke down. In the first half he probably wouldn't have been in that position, and the ball would have come comfortably to a Southampton player. So it's better, and it's gaining them territory, it's gaining them that little bit of impetus in the game.
Corner for Watford then, which will be taken right-footed by Pereira from the left-hand side. Doesn't have too much on it though, and Southampton can clear it away easily enough. Femenia is off after the loose ball, and Femenia will opt to go all the way back to Ben Foster between the sticks for Watford. He sends a long ball through for Deeney to chase, and there was just a bit too much on it for Deeney to be able to keep in, but that was very much route one from Watford. And you could say maybe it's mixing it up, or you could say maybe it's a shortage of ideas.
Yeah, well, listen, when you've got Deeney up front, there's no harm in getting some balls up to him, but you have to get men around them, and the quality of the ball has to be good. Ben Foster's a fantastic left foot, and that was a disappointing ball. He put way too much on it, didn't give Deeney a chance, but there's no harm in throwing a few balls up there to him. Stick them into his chest, stick them up around his head, get men around him, try and get your team some territory in the game, and you never know what can happen when the ball breaks down to one of your players.
Ward-Prowse with a poor pass, which is presented possession to Messina on the halfway line, pings it up towards Deeney, who's beaten to it by Vestergaard. Now it's Capu, bit of time just outside the centre circle, plays it square to Messina, who now sends it forwards to Pereira, cutting in from the left hand side, gets towards the edge of the area, but Walker-Peters is there again. Walker-Peters helps to clear Southampton's lines, and then Danny Ings will just take the throw by pinging it off Messina. And Walker-Peters, I think, has had a pretty tidy game at right back. Yeah,
I think both Southampton fullbacks have been good. I think Bertrand's been good, and Walker-Peters has been excellent as well. Playing against two of Watford's most creative players in Sarr and Pereira, I had them marked down as players to kind of keep an eye on in this game, and Pereira in particular I think has been pretty poor in this game.
Pereira, one of those players that came into the side in terms of changes from the Burnley game, but hasn't really seized the opportunity. Up goes Shane Long again, winning it well in the air, but it drops favourably for Capu, who then just sends a long lofted pass through the centre. Vestergaard underneath it, and I think the problem for Watford is that Vestergaard and Bednarek are going to deal with those long pump balls through the centre fairly easily.
Yeah, they're old-fashioned centre-halves in that respect, aren't they? They don't mind dealing with a ball into the box. They don't mind heading the ball. We mentioned earlier, they are big units, and them balls that are just kind of thrown in there, I think you need to have a little bit of guile on them. So it might be just a little lofted one into Deeney's chest, just to give him an opportunity to be able to get hold of the ball, because them centre-backs, it's kind of food and drink for them. Them long high balls.
Here goes Will Hughes on the right hand side, wide on the right, and again as he just tried to make some inroads, Southampton's discipline came to the fore, and they had enough bodies back to check his progress. Femenia now finds himself outnumbered Manages to find Capu though, centre field, square pass to Pereira. Pereira just delays, then sends it wide to Messina, whose ball in is charged down by Walker-Peters, and it eventually bobbles out for a throw to Watford, almost on the byline. Quickly taken throw, well read by Romeo, helped further clear by Smallbone, but picked up by Dawson for Watford. Now it's Messina on the left-hand side, plays it down the line to Pereira. There's no flag. Southampton were hopeful that he may have drifted offside, but it will be a corner for Watford after 3 Southampton players close Pereira down.
You think a set piece is going to be an important way for them to get back into the game if they're going to, so the delivery needs to be good. Pereira's last one was poor.
Pereira with another chance to deliver this one then. Pereira takes, it's a better delivery, and a cluster of heads went for it. Hughes has a shy at goal. Deeney 6 yards out. Instead of having a go at goal, he decided to find a teammate, couldn't do so. Now Southampton are on the counter, and it's Shane Long trying to surge through the middle. Feminea was back covering as 3 Watford players track back, and now it's Doucouré, and suddenly the game is getting stretched. Pereira on the left feeds Doucouré again, 3 in the area to aim for. Can't find any of them though. Bednarak in the right place to pop it behind.
It's better. I just feel it's just coming to life a little bit. It's been end to end. They've taken the corner quickly.
Doucouré into the area after the short corner, and he's had a go at goal, and the one thing you never want to see when you have a go at goal is the ball go out for a throw in, and that's precisely what's happened. Sure that never happened to you, Andy?
I don't even want to go into that. that was absolutely horrendous. I don't even think you can class it as a go on goal, but it's a bit better from Watford, and there's a little bit more intensity. I like the way they've tried a short corner there. They've took it, they've taken it quickly. They've tried to get a little 2v1 going there, and just to be a little bit inventive, just to have something a little bit more than what they've shown so far in this game. It's good to see. That inventiveness is what we all like to see.
And here is Doucouré on the edge of the area, going for goal again. This time it was a better effort, and one that needed to be deflected behind for a corner. And it's not saying much given how poor they were in the first half, but this has been an improved second half showing from Nigel Pearson's side, and they have another corner. They've racked quite a few up in quick succession early in the second half. Pereira's last delivery wasn't bad. What's this one going to be like? Lofted into a dangerous area. McCarthy's got a fist on it. Hughes back in. Romeo in the right place for Southampton, then hoofed away by Nathan Redmond, but Southampton under a bit of pressure, you would say, which is the first time that's happened in the game.
Yeah, they are, and you could tell that by the clearance from Redmond. He was just happy for it to go anywhere.
Pereira now on the left-hand side. He finds Messina, corner of the penalty area, lofted in, cleared by Ward-Prowse, drops for Femenea, who sends it wide. Deeney's out there on that right flank, but here's 1-2 with Will Hughes, doesn't come off, and Redmond's able to clear up towards Long. Long nudged off it fairly by Dawson, and it drops for Cathcart, who under no pressure plays it to Etienne Capu. Southampton leading here by 1-0. Danny Ings' strike in the first half, the difference between the sides. Adam Messina has it, but is forced to go backwards to Dawson, who sends a square pass to Cathcart, still in the Watford half, and in turn he goes all the way back to his goalkeeper. Messina hugging the left touchline. Did he take it out? Assistant referee on this near side says no, and Ralph Hasenhüttl was trying to urge him to award the throw in. It's Messina who has the ball though for Watford and will take the throw. 63 minutes gone, Watford trailing 1-0. Shane Long finds Redmond, bit of space to work with here. Redmond going through the middle, Ings one way, Long the other, tried to play it through towards Danny Ings. Foster comes out quickly to smother the danger.
I just think he picked the wrong option there. He should have been looking for Shane Long on the outside. Instead he played her straight down the middle, too much weight on it, and it went straight to the keeper.
Sarr's ball in is really disappointing from out wide and just drifts behind for a goal kick. And first change of the piece will be made by the visitors, and it's Stuart Armstrong, who was a bit of a surprise to see left out given his form of late. And it's Will Smallbone who ostensibly came into the side for Armstrong out on the right-hand side who makes way.
I like Armstrong. I think he's a good player. I watched him quite a bit at Celtic, and he was really good. And I think he's made an impact, a good impact since he's come down south for Southampton. So it'd be interesting to see what his role is now when he come on. He'd be wanting to get involved in the play as soon as possible and see, can he hold this kind of, there's a bit of been a switch in the momentum, and Watford have been on top since the break, so he'll be hoping to play his part in changing that.
And here is Pereira trying to surge through the centre, closed off the route to goal. Vestergaard though, and Southampton have it with Walker-Peters. Again, quick burst from the back by Walker-Peters. As soon as he's on the ball, he's looking to get forwards and really make some inroads. Romeo offloads it to Danny Ings on the right touchline, goes backwards to Walker-Peters. Watford trying to play Southampton at their own game with quick pressing and closing down of the space. Redmond has spun away from Feminier on the left though. Will Hughes is across to try and block his route towards goal, and he's successfully done that. Ward-Prowse now in centre field, plays it square to Bednarek inside the centre circle for Southampton. Just chips one through the centre, looking for Long. Cathcart's there, and then Dawson chests it coolly back to Foster. 25 minutes left to play. Watford 0, Southampton 1.
I like the tempo of the game. It's gone up, and I think from a Watford perspective, they're a much better team when they play with a higher tempo. So, Pearson will be wanting much more of that.
Redmond, 30 yards out from goal, sends it wide to Bertrand on the left. He goes backwards to Redmond. Now it's Ward-Prowse halfway inside the Watford half. Redmond takes it off him and then darts in field. Plays a short pass to Romeo, who sends it wide to Bertrand again. Now it's Danny Ings, again on that left-hand side, 2 Watford players close to him. Forced back to Bertrand, Watford squeezing the space, and Romeo in the end has to go all the way back to Vestergaard, almost on halfway. He plays a forward pass to Redmond, and Redmond says he was caught late there by Capoue. Play goes on, Michael Oliver saw nothing untoward. Southampton still have it with Bertrand, plenty of possession but not really going anywhere with it. Ings trying to change that now as he takes on Cathcart. Cathcart comes out on top. His lofted pass is controlled by Ismaila Sarr, but Sarr then had his pocket picked by Romeo, and Southampton then give it away to Doucouré. Now here's a chance for Watford to come forwards. Pereira on the right. Sarr cuts in field, showed too much of it though to Bertrand, and Southampton have it with Ryan Bertrand. And just a bit of a scrappy passage of play. Armstrong now with his first touch since coming on, just rolls his foot over the ball and then canters over the halfway line. Deeney goes across to make the challenge, sends it wide to Bertrand. Bertrand forced back to Vestergaard. Vestergaard sends it square to his centre-back partner Bednarek, who knocks it forwards to Ward-Prowse. Ward-Prowse into the feet of Walker-Peters, who's certainly caught there by Messina. Free kick, and it will also be time for the scheduled water break.
That was a nice passage of play that from Southampton. You could sense a little bit of a shift in play. Watford were coming onto them. They were winning the second balls. They were gaining a good bit of territory. The last 5 minutes, Southampton have kept the ball really, really well. It's just taken that little bit of a sting out of Southampton, put them on the back foot a little bit. And it's taken them now into this drinks break where you can see the coaches down there. Hasenhüttl, he's trying to get into his players. He's trying to just reorganise a bit, trying to get that momentum back for his team. And then Pearson he's wanting his team a little bit more. Come on, just give us a little bit more. A bit more intensity, up that the intensity that they had for the first 10 minutes of the second half. Recreate it. It's a big 22 minutes for them. It really is it's a really important time in their season. They could really do with something here.
And is it something of a surprise that we haven't seen any substitutions from him, given that we're now into the final quarter?
Well, I think the reason that we haven't is because they did get off to a decent start to the second half, and they showed that intensity that we're looking for, a little bit of quality. They had a couple of chances, but moving into the last 20 minutes, he has to be thinking about a change. He has to be looking at Danny Welbeck. We've seen the quality that he's got. He can be somebody that can make a difference for this Watford team today.
So the drinks break is over. It's not the hottest day you'll ever come across, certainly in comparison to earlier on in the week, but nonetheless they had the drinks stoppage, and we are back underway with Bednarek's free kick, hammered through the centre. Long was the target, too much on it, and one bounce and caught by Ben Foster, who tries to throw it out towards Messina, and it's intercepted by Danny Ings. Trouble here. Ings, angle against him, goes for goal, deflected and in. Danny Ings at the double, and that might just do it for Southampton. Ben Foster's throw was intercepted by Ings, who surged into the area and from a tight angle saw his deflected strike fly past Foster and in. Watford 0, Southampton 2.
Foster's absolutely disgusted with himself, isn't he? He's absolutely, it's a poor mistake. It really is a poor mistake. But let's not take away from the finish. When Ings got on the ball, he still had a lot to do. He drove at the defender. The defender possibly could have got a little bit closer to him, but it was a really good finish into the far corner, and Danny Ings shown his quality again. Really disappointing. Nigel Pearson will be so disappointed in that goal. It was such an unnecessary goal to give away.
Well, Southampton were guilty of making some errors that led to goals against Arsenal. This time they've profited from an error by such a reliable player for Watford in the shape of Ben Foster.
Well, he's been so good for them over the years, hasn't he? He's got them out of so many holes, he's pulled out so many saves, and you know, I think at times like that, you know, when he does make a little bit of a mistake, you say to your defender, come on, can you dig me out of a hole here? Can you put in a last ditch tackle to try and, you know, make up for my mistake? And unfortunately for Foster, the defender couldn't do it that time.
Free kick for Southampton then, who lead by 2-0. 20 minutes left to play. Bednarek swings it forwards, and underneath it is Cathcart. Now Shane Long for Southampton, who have such an impressive away record and are surely going to leave Hertfordshire with all 3 points this afternoon as well. Watford in a hurry, and changes are being readied down in front of us. Wondered if any subs would be incoming, and with the scoreline, Nigel Pearson deciding to roll the dice. No real choice for him in that respect. Here is Walker-Peters for Southampton. Cuts inside of Pereira, gets up to just shy of halfway, then knocks it into Romeo. Now it's Ward-Prowse, back to Vestergaard. Bertrand, confidence coming back for Southampton now as a result of that goal. Long crossfield pass from Bertrand towards Danny Ings, who is on a hat-trick of course, and it's a free kick for Watford after a foul by Danny Ings.
Southampton can afford to be a lot more patient now. They can keep the ball, keep possession. It's Watford who have to come out and try and win the ball back, and when they do come out, then you want people moving into them pockets to try and exploit the space that they've left behind. But there's no hurry now for Southampton. When the ball goes out for throw-ins, they will slow it down. When the ball goes out for a corner, they will slow it down. So all the pressure now and all the time constraints now are all against Watford.
Femineo for Watford, trailing 2-0, 72 minutes on the clock. Knocks it back towards Sarr. Capoue, closed by Stuart Armstrong. And Watford back with their centre-halves again. And Dawson took too long and had the ball taken off him. And suddenly Shane Long now bursts forwards. Danny Ings is inside the area, but Capoue has done really well covering to just take it off Shane Long and pop it out for the throw.
Yeah, he's done well there, Capoue. He's the deep line midfielder, so he's expected to kind of get across there. But it was sloppy play there by I think it was Dawson. The two centre backs have looked shaky all day. They found it difficult in dealing with the two centre forwards, and that was just another good opportunity that Southampton had.
Second goal scored for Southampton by Danny Ings. Ings at the double. Got one after 16 minutes with a fine run and shot, and then his second came about after Ben Foster's throw was intercepted by Ings. He cut into the area and then drilled it hard, took a deflection off Dawson, which wrong-footed Foster, and gives us this scoreline of Watford 0, Southampton 2. Changes being made by Watford at the moment as well. Pereira and Messina both making way as Southampton have the throw with Danny Ings. Ings in the corner. Bit too early to start trying to take the ball down to the corner flag and run down the clock. Armstrong's wriggled away from a couple of challenges, finds Ings, who pokes it into Redmond, and from 12 yards out, Nathan Redmond just tickles it wide of the post.
More really good play by Southampton. They look like they're growing in confidence. That second goal has really helped them. Good play by Armstrong in the corner. Him and Ings played a little 1-2. And then and Ings played a lovely little ball into Redmond, who's just swung his right foot at it. Possibly could have done a little bit better, but again, more good play.
And Danny Ings really showing a variety of talents today. What did you think of his work for the second goal?
Well, I thought it was a really good fit. You know, he's alive, and I know it was a poor throw out from Foster, but he had to be alive. He had to be sharp to get on it. He was sharp. He got on it. He was really direct. He drove at the defender. The defender didn't quite get close enough to him, and it was a great finish into the corner. He hits corners all the time, you know, and that's what you want from your centre forward. Seeing the first goal, curled it into the far corner. That time he drilled it across the goal into the far corner. Didn't give Foster much chance. I've been very impressed with Ings today, and I've also been very impressed with Shane Long. The two of them have dovetailed really well together today.
And Shane Long has just come off, replaced by Che Adams, who is still looking for his first goal for Southampton since joining in the summer. Southampton in charge and heading towards another away day success. They've taken more points away than they have at home, 23 before this match compared to 14 at St Mary's in the Premier League. Only 5 sides have picked up more points on their travels than Ralph Hasenhüttl's side this season. They are a quarter of an hour away from another victory on the road, and they have been very well organised. They've employed that counter-pressing that is the trademark of Ralph Hasenhüttl, and Watford have had precious little time on the ball and have been limited to very few clear-cut chances. Long throw into the Southampton box here, looking for the head of Dawson, who was up there, doesn't quite reach him, and Southampton, you feel, are just coiled and waiting to spring a counter-attack as soon as the Watford play breaks down. Feminier on the far side. Now Ismail Assar wriggles away from a couple of challenges on that right and whips in a very handy looking ball, and Bertrand was back in the nick of time for Southampton as the rain starts to cascade down again in Hertfordshire, and the ball into the area is handy. Dawson up there as a centre half. He goes down. Watford appeal for a penalty. Nothing doing from Michael Oliver, the referee. And now here is the opportunity for Southampton on the counter. Adams swivels inside his own half. Armstrong to the left-hand side. He prods it forwards for Redmond to chase. Redmond's kept it in. Good ball back in towards Armstrong. Foster's come out. Armstrong's gone down, and the free kick goes Watford's way.
Really good break there. They're so good on transition. Our Southampton, that was a great break, and Stuart Armstrong, who's down injured now, he must have travelled about 80 yards up the pitch there, done really well to get on the end of it, and nearly nicked in front of the defender and the keeper to get another goal.
Well, Watford started so strongly under Nigel Pearson. 6 points though from their last 9 matches, and set to end up empty-handed today. They have only managed 1 victory from their last 7 Premier League home games under Pearson, and they have a mountain to climb to get anything from this one. And it is a case of all the sides in and around the bottom of the table struggling to get themselves going, bar Brighton really, who have made a good fist of it since the season resumed.
Yeah, and it's been very difficult for them sides, and it's proven very difficult for Watford as well. And this will be in a game that, you know, when you look at the fixtures and when Nigel Pearson will have been going through the fixtures between now and the end of the season, Southampton at home, you know, you'd really fancied your chances. Turning up here today, they'll have been feeling confident. I would imagine that Pearson felt confident as well, and it just hasn't turned out that way for them. They haven't really created enough. They haven't had enough territory. It just hasn't been their day today. And you know, listen, there's still 12 minutes left. If they can get themselves some sort of a goal somehow, nick one, then they could be back into it. But at the moment, I'm finding it difficult to see how they are going to get back into it.
Another change being made by Watford, and it's an attacking one as well, as it really has to be in this situation. Kiko Feminier is the man withdrawn, and Ignacio Picetto, the Argentinian forward, is on for him. So Welbeck and Picetto have both come on from the bench, with Watford chasing goals, trailing by 2-0 with 12 minutes left to play. Holebas, another of the substitutes, with the first time ball in from out wide left, and it's an own goal, and Watford do have hope. Holebas with an almost immediate contribution from the bench, really inviting delivery, and Watford are back in it. Watford 1, Southampton 2, Bednarek beating his own keeper.
Well, it was a fantastic ball right across the box there, and the defender had to stick out his leg to try and get it, and when he done that, he couldn't get good contact on it, and he nicked it past his own keeper. And it's game on now. We mentioned it there a moment ago. If they can somehow just get themselves back into it, then all the pressure now for the last 10 minutes plus stoppage time is going to be on Southampton.
Well, it could be a grandstand finish to a game that took such a long time to get going, as with the majority of the matches since the Premier League season resumed. It was cagey to begin with, hardly any real chances, bar the moment of magic from Danny Ings on 16 minutes, which gave Southampton the lead. But now we could really have a cracking final 10 minutes as the heavens open and the rain is absolutely pelting down now. Here is Armstrong wide left, infield to Romeo, centre field, tries to play a pass, dug into Danny Ings, and it's a free kick for Southampton in the D of the penalty area. It was Shea Adams, in fact, who was scythed down, and it is smack bang in the middle of that D, and already you can see James Ward-Prowse licking his lips.
Well, it's in a perfect position. It's just far enough out where you can get up and down with his delivery. I expect him to do well. But yet again, we're seeing the problems that two centre forwards are causing for the two centre backs. Dawson and Cathcart have looked uncomfortable all day, and the ball come into Adams there, and I think it's Dawson's just got to stand him up, but he tried to nick in front and win him, and gives away a free kick in a really, really promising area.
Well, there is a cluster of white shirts around this ball at the moment. Bertrand is interested, Redmond's having a chat as well, but obviously James Ward-Prowse will be the man who'll pull rank here. It is smack bang in the middle of the penalty area D, right on the edge of that semicircle. Ward-Prowse with a deliberate couple of steps backwards. All bar one of the Watford players are in some kind of a wall in front of Ben Foster's goal. It's Ward-Prowse who strikes it. Oh, it's a stunner from James Ward-Prowse, and that will surely settle it. Floated it over the wall, it curled away from Foster into the top left-hand corner, and that is a screamer from Ward-Prowse, which surely does kill off any Watford hopes. Watford 1, Southampton 3.
Fantastic free kick, really fantastic free kick. I was looking at that wall, and the wall looked really big. There was some big tall players in that wall, and I said to myself, does he have the ability to get it up and back down and put it in that top corner? And the answer is yes. It was a brilliant free kick. His technique was fantastic, his run up was perfect, and it was really good free kick. You get a chance to watch that on the TV, you need to see it.
Match of the day tonight will be your place for that. There is more football to come after this, of course. We've got live commentary of Newcastle against Manchester City in the FA Cup quarter-final. The draw takes place at half-time in that one, provided there's no extra time. There'll also be 6:06 to follow that with Robbie Savage and Sam Quek. And that Manchester City game against Newcastle in the FA Cup also live on BBC One for you as well. It's after that brief scare, Southampton are comfortable again, 3-1 ahead, 7 minutes left to play. Ralph Hasenhüttl emerges from underneath the dugout after taking shelter during that downpour. It's now cleared away, and the rain has relented, but it's going to be a gloomy afternoon for Watford. One of the games that they may well have targeted as winnable. They have Chelsea away next. They've got a home game against Norwich, and Newcastle come here after that as well, before a trip to West Ham. So a cluster of matches against sides in and around them, and then they finish up with Manchester City and Arsenal. Could get worse for them before that, because Shea Adams was chasing one through the centre, but Foster can make the gather.
you can see the life is just drained out of Watford now. That goal has really taken the wind out of their sails. There's no movement, there's no intensity. They're struggling with their passing. They're starting to look a little bit all over the place now.
Armstrong has it centre field for Southampton, leading by 3-1. 2 from Danny Ings and another from James Ward-Prowse. And Danny Ings now is on 21 goals for the season, 18 in the Premier League. Only Jamie Vardy has more in the division with 19. What a season he is having, especially when you consider he's playing for a side who has generally struggled throughout the season.
When you have a goal scorer in your team like that, who can get them goals out of nothing, who can kind of create something himself, and get you a win when it might have been a draw, or get you a draw when it might have been a defeat, they're worth their weight in gold. They really are.
Ings surging through the centre now, finding Shea Adams, who's going to have a pop, charged down by Dawson, who was covering well. Holebas has lost out, and Southampton have it back on the right-hand side of Watford's penalty area. They're forced to retreat backwards. Ward-Prowse sends it to Bednarek, whose own goal is not going to prove too costly. Ings hugging the right touchline and then clattered into by Troy Deeney. Nailed on free kick, and a real sign of frustration from Troy Deeney, who I can't remember really having a sniff all afternoon.
No, he hasn't had an opportunity. There hasn't been good quality into the box. They haven't got enough men in and around him to try and support him, to use his physicality. It just, the game has passed him by, and you can see there in the frustration in that tackle. And all the Watford players now, and I'm sure Nigel Pearson is massively frustrated as well.
Ward-Prowse takes the free kick for that foul on Ings and goes back to Vestergaard inside the centre circle. He finds his centre-half partner, Bednarek, who pops it to Walker-Peters. Carl Walker-Peters, very tidy game. The man on loan from Tottenham, playing at right back for Southampton. Only his second start for the Saints today. Danny Ings now has it halfway inside Watford territory. Walker-Peters was having his shirt pulled by Etienne Capoue, buys the foul and buys a few more seconds off the clock.
He's been excellent, Walker-Peters. I have to say, he's been other than Ings, he's probably been the pick of the bunch out there. He's really impressed me. He's come on. We know he's quick, but his positional play today has been really good. He's been good on the ball, defended really well when he's had to. Really impressive performance from him today.
Armstrong out wide left, gets the header towards Redmond. He gets it back and surges to the byline, and it was poked behind in the end by Craig Cathcart covering. It's a Southampton corner, and the game really is up now for Watford. Southampton are going to set a new club record of 8 away wins in a single Premier League season. Ward-Prowse is taking all the time he can to get play back underway with this corner, which is on the left as Southampton look at it. Whipped in towards the near post. Shea Adams went for it. It's cleared away as far as Ward-Prowse will get another bite of the cherry from open play. Knocks it slightly backwards of square to Redmond. Redmond's closed down and opts to go back to Ryan Bertrand. Bertrand into Romeo, and now it's all the way back on halfway with Bednarek for Southampton. He pings it across to Ward-Prowse, who knocks it infield to Romeo. Now Stuart Armstrong on the left has found Redmond, who tried to knock it in towards Danny Ings, who was loitering on the penalty spot. Redmond still sniffing around, and then Dawson manages to knock it against Armstrong and behind for a Watford goal kick.
They've just Watford today, just looking at the performance and trying to figure out what they've been trying to do. I mean, they haven't had good enough movement in midfield to go and get on the ball and to kind of play through the turds and to really play a possession-based game. And the balls that have been played long, they haven't got anybody forward to support the striker in Deeney. I'm just not too sure what they've tried to get today, and they've ended up getting nothing.
Shea Adams has got the wrong side of Dawson. Is this the moment for Adams to get his first Southampton goal? It's not. Foster to the rescue for Watford. Well, that really would have been the icing on the cake for Southampton. Shea Adams left Dawson for dead, knocked the ball round him on the right, and then got into the penalty area one-on-one with Foster. Bit too close to the keeper, who managed to use his legs to send it behind for the corner.
Well, it was brilliant play and probably play deserving of a goal. He really worked it well, done everything right, was nice and composed, and Foster just managed to get a leg on it, but really good play by Che Adams.
Corner taken short. Redmond on the edge of the area, goes for goal and cracks the post. Oh, that would have been even better than Ward-Prowse's strike. On the run, curled it from 20-25 yards out. Foster leaping to his left, and it came off the base of the post.
The final whistle can't come quick enough for Watford. They're all over the place at the moment. They just need to get this game over and done with and try and move on to the next one. It's been a disappointing afternoon. Redmond, that was a fantastic strike. He was very, very unlucky there. We know he's got good ability, and probably haven't seen him as much in the game as some of the other players today, but that was a really good effort.
Having taken 13 points from their first 6 games under Nigel Pearson, it will be just 6 from their last 10 after today. The bounce has well and truly disappeared for Watford. Here is Cathcart in the centre circle, another aimless pass forward. Story of the game really for Watford. Their passing has been poor, and then some hesitation at the back between Cathcart and Foster almost allowed Che Adams to nip in as we head into the final 20 seconds of normal time at Vicarage Road. Watford 1, Southampton 3, and a big blow for Watford in their fight for survival. But it almost seems as if a lot of those teams around the relegation zone don't really want to stay up the way results have gone.
Well, listen, one thing's for sure, they're definitely not out of it. You know, they're in with good a chance as any. They'll need to kind of lick the wounds. They'll need to get in the analysis room and look and see where did they go wrong, and there's plenty of areas where they went wrong today. There's lots to be that they can improve on. They know that for sure, but Nigel Pearson's been around long enough. He'll be able to pick out what the bits are, where they need to improve. There might be a change of personnel. Some of the players haven't really done themselves any favours here today, so plenty to work on for them, but by no means are they done and dusted. 5
minutes of stoppage time have been signalled. We are 30 seconds into that as Bertrand fizzes one in towards Danny Ings, who gives a big thumbs up to Bertrand for the delivery. It was cut out by Dawson, with Ings on the edge of the 6-yard box looking for what would be a hat-trick goal. The next commentary coming up for you is in the FA Cup. It's only 10 minutes away. Newcastle taking on Manchester City in the final quarter-final tie. That one live on BBC One for you as well. We'll have the draw for the semi-finals at half-time in that Newcastle-Manchester City match as well, on a bumper Sunday for you across the BBC. Ward-Prowse on what has been a fine Sunday for Southampton, though he's lost possession, and Watford maybe with an opportunity to get on the counter, but as soon as I say that, Southampton's organisation comes to the fore again. They have plenty of white shirts back behind the ball, and Watford are forced to retreat. Sarr wide left, disappointing showing from the Senegalese today. Ball is deep towards Troy Deeney, who lets it go over his head. He's managed to work it back to Holebas, 25 yards out. His curled ball in is long and looping and eventually cleared, but Redmond then loses possession on the edge of the area. Stuart Armstrong's a bit untidy as well. Danny Ings is back there challenging Deeney. The two of them went for it, both on the floor now. No foul either way. It will, though, be a Watford ball. Just a collision there between the two of them, and Deeney's not the type of bloke that you want to collide with. He's a big man. So it will be a corner for Watford, but they need snookers and then some. 3-1 down with only a couple of minutes of stoppage time left to play. Holebas will deliver the corner, left-footed from the left. It'll be an outswinger. All bar two of the Watford players are in the Southampton area. Deep delivery, met well by Ward-Prowse, and Redmond gets on to the second ball and will try and use his pace to speed away from Etienne Capoue, but Capoue's got back and sent it back to Foster, but only after he fouled Nathan Redmond, and Southampton very, very nearly there. It's been a really impressive performance by Southampton, a really impressive away performance. They started the game well, they stretched Watford, there was good runs in behind, there was gaps being created, and they got the goal from that, and then that put Watford down on the back foot, and they had to try and come out a little bit more. They had to try and be a little bit more inventive, and they weren't able to do that, and Southampton set back in and waited for their opportunity then to get the second goal. You know, really
a really, really perfect away performance. Ralph Hasenhüttl will be absolutely delighted with the performance here today.
Continues their fine return on the road. 62% of their league points have come on their travels across Europe's top 5 leagues. Only Brescia and Werder Bremen have won a higher proportion of their points away from their home ground. Bertrand feeds Redmond on the left wing, and it's broken for Danny Welbeck, who feeds Troy Deeney just inside Watford territory. He tries to give the ball back to Welbeck, who has managed to prize a throw out of Bednarek, level with the Southampton penalty area as we go into the final minute of stoppage time at Vicarage Road. Watford 1, Southampton 3. 2 goals for Danny Ings and a fine Ward-Prowse free kick for the Saints. A Bednarek own goal, the only real cheer for Watford on what has been a miserable afternoon for them. And their challenge to stay in the Premier League gets that bit tougher after this setback. Here goes Shea Adams, and he's clattered in the centre circle. Michael Oliver waits to see if any advantage can be gleaned by Danny Ings. The answer is no, and Abdoulaye Doucouré knew exactly what was coming from Michael Oliver as the yellow card is dished out.
Listen, one thing we know, that Nigel Pearson will remain calm. He'll probably have a few choice words for some of his players, but he won't panic in the grand scheme of things. He knows that there's things to put right, that there's things that they need to improve on, and they need to do that pretty quickly. But he's been in this position before, he's experienced, he's been around the block, and I'm sure they've got the right man.
Final few seconds, Armstrong running at Cathcart and stopped in his tracks just outside the area. Another yellow card comes out, third Watford player in the book this afternoon, and it will be the last kick of the game as we've played the 5 additional minutes, and it will be maybe one last chance for James Ward-Prowse to try and get another goal for himself. This time it's out on the left-hand side rather than smack bang middle as the strike that he scored with was. Nathan Redmond is over there and is an interested party as well. A little giggle between the two of them. Looks like Ward-Prowse will have a go at this one to try and add a final flourish to the scoreline. Ward-Prowse about 10 yards left of centre, gets good whip on it, and Foster gets his body fully behind it, and that is the last action of the game. A comprehensive victory for Southampton. It came about after 2 goals from Danny Ings and a Ward-Prowse free kick, and a fully deserved success for the Saints. They have beaten Watford here by 3-1.
Yeah, so listen, that was a really, really good performance from Southampton. They you know, you talk about the perfect away performance, and that was almost it. They started the game really well. They got the goal. They sat back in a little bit and never really gave Watford a sniff of anything really. And Watford, you know, really, really disappointing, and they never really came out of the traps. They had a little maybe 10-minute period at the start of the second half where there was a little bit more intensity in their play. But other than that, they didn't really offer too much. The goal was an OG, so it wasn't even by one of their players. And Ward-Prowse stepped up at the end with a fantastic free kick. Danny Ings, man of the match today. I thought he was the best player in the park. Got his 2 goals, 2 fantastic finishes, and fully deserved victory for Southampton, and onward and upward for them.
What is Nigel Pearson going to be the most annoyed about this evening?
Well, I just think the lack of intensity in their play. You know, for the 10 minutes that they did step it up, they caused a couple of problems. But being intense for 10 minutes in a game and up at the tempo for 10 minutes in the Premier League game is not enough. They needed more high tempo play. They needed to move the ball quicker. They needed to get players in and around Deeney to create a few more problems, and they just didn't do that today. So there's plenty to work on for Southampton.
And we see Danny Ings now trotting across to carry out the post-match interview duties with his 2 goals today, taking him on to 21 goals for the season. A fine performance from him, and he is all smiles down in front of us. What a star turn he's providing for Southampton this season.
Yeah, he's been excellent, a real positive. I have to be honest with you, I like the Hasenhüttl playing the 4-4-2 there, because it just gives Ings that little bit of freedom when he's got somebody to play off, and Shane Long done it particularly well today, and the two of them linked in really well. Ings was getting on the end of flick-ons, and when Shane Long was stretching him, Ings was coming in to get on the ball. It worked really well. Tactically, Hasenhüttl got it spot on today.
OK, well, that's it from myself and Andy Reid here at Vicarage Road, where Watford have been beaten by 3-1 by Southampton. Next on 5 Live Sports Extra, let's rejoin the TMS replay from England against the West Indies in 2017.
Different approach, trying to hit the pitch hard, and rather than just floating them up there. He was used to the kind of different kind of style bowler, but overall I'd say England bowled a